welcome you once again in this session where we are going to look at the sampling techniques and correcting of materials, materials that we use in correcting, and how we carry out the correcting of these organisms. The organisms that we are looking at are the organisms that we use in the dichotomous key. They may be insects, they may be worms, they may be flies, they may be caterpillars, and whatsoever organism that we use in the identification key. Now, there are different materials that we use when we are collecting these organisms, and those are the materials that I'm going to list right now for us to know the materials that are needed when we are carrying out the collecting of these organisms and insects and so on. We can use a forceps. A forceps will help us to pick some of those dangerous and poisonous substances, like organisms like caterpillars, which have got spikes. And then we can also use specimen tubes. Specimen tubes help us to fix the tubes inside. Then we can also use the bulb pipette. A bulb pipette can help us, for example, when there is water, there is an insect in water, we can open the other end and allow the insect to enter into the bulb pipette. Then we can also use the hand lenses. We can use the hand lenses to help us to observe clearly the organisms that we are going to pick, and if they are in dark places, and then if they are very minute that we cannot get them, we can use the hand lens and pick them. Then we have the pie dish. The pie dish can be used to collect some of those organisms that are in the bush, insects that are underground, and so on. Then we can also use a paintbrush. A paintbrush can be used for delicate and soft organisms when we are wiping them out, like the caterpillars, those ones which can easily burst. We can use a paintbrush to push them and bring them where we want to put them. Then we can use a kitchen sieve. A kitchen sieve can be used, for example, when we are picking something from the water body, like an insect is in the water, we can use a water sieve. Then other equipments that we can use when we are collecting organisms for using in the dichotomous key, we can use a potter. A potter is an instrument which is having a cover covered by a cork, and it has two holes with one straw pointing to the insect, and then another straw which is covered by the mosquito net inside, and it's where you put your mouth and pull the insect. Then the insect passes through the other tube and it falls into the container. Then we can also use a butterfly net. A butterfly net is the one which we use for swinging when the insects are flying. Those ones which are flying, we use a butterfly net, and then we can trap them with a butterfly net. Then we can use a sweep net. A sweep net is used for insects and other organisms which are on the ground. You just put it on the ground and allow the insect to enter into the sweeping net. We can also use the light trap. A light trap is whereby you put a white cloth. You put a white cloth, and then on the white cloth you put a lantern, and then the insects are attracted by the light. That is during the night, especially flying insects at the night, they are attracted towards the light, and then when they fall on the white substance or white background, because always at night they want white backgrounds, then you can correct them by folding your sheet or your bed sheet. Then we can also use containers by putting them into the pitfall. You dig a small hole, put your container inside, and then on the top cover with a stone. So those insects that are moving and walking, they end up falling into the container. But what you can do in the container, you can put some little alcohol or some little water, such that when they fall inside, they cannot come out of the container. Then the last one which we can use a beating tray. The beating tray, it is a tray which can trap insects. Like for example, you use that tray and then you get a stick, and if you have insects on the tree, and then you can hit the branches of the tree, then those insects on the branches of the tree will fall down on the tray, and then you can collect them. So those are the different materials that we use, and also the different methods that we are using to collect the organisms that we want to use in the formation of a dichotomous queue. We have said that we can use a forceps, we can use a specimen tube that helps us to correct tubes organisms into the tube. We can use a bulb pipette, for example, organisms that are in water like insects. We can use a malaise to help us to identify and observe those small insects that we cannot see clearly. And then we can use a pie dish, collecting organisms from the bush, from the ditches, and so on. We can use a paintbrush for organisms which are delicate like caterpillars that can end up bursting. We can use a kitchen sieve if it is in case of collecting organisms from the water. Then we can use a porter, or what we refer to as a suction pipe. We have said that one has outlets, two pipe, one which goes into your mouth and another one you point it at the insect and then you suck. But the one which you use to suck, it has a mosquito net inside, not to allow the insect to come into your mouth. Then we can use a butterfly net for organisms that are flying. Then we can also use a sweeping net for those ones that are on the ground, and then we can use a light trap for insects that fly at night, that move at night. And then we can also use a pitfall for insects that are in the field, that are moving in the field, where we dig a ditch and then put a container inside and then cover on top with a stone, not to allow sunlight entering, and then the insects fall inside and they are trapped inside. And then we can also use the beating tray to trap those organisms that are on the trees. So those are the different methods that we use. Next time we shall look at the virus, and we know what is a virus, what are the characteristics of a virus. Thank you for being with us.